So I just got done having my Socratic seminars today with my middle school students and my adult students for the summer session, and it really was a good conversation. And I wanted to make a quick video because I've been thinking about something. I had a conversation yesterday about an article that I'm writing up about what it means to be educated. And I even asked this question on Twitter, just to sort of get a feel for what people are thinking. And that's this question: what does it mean to be educated? Um, and especially in light of how school is going to be changing in light of COVID, how conversations on social media tend to take place. They get very heated, very argumentative, very polarized very quickly, and almost tribalistic, if not overtly tribalistic. We have a very polarized view of politics, very if you're not with us, you're against us sort of mentality. And what's interesting is, in some of the resources that I use to develop my Socratic seminar, there's a lot of really good information. And I came across these 6 different stages of thinkers, which I found to be super useful for being able to imagine where we are today as thinkers, as individual thinkers. So I'm going to tell you what those 6 stages of thinkers are, and I'm going to briefly describe them. And I think it'll shed some interesting light on why we're at where we're at. So here are the 6 stages, okay? The first stage is the unreflective thinker, completely just unaware that, unaware of their own beliefs and concerns, unaware of their own process of thinking and whether or not there's even problems with it, unaware of even that there are different perspectives on a given subject. You might even say that this is really a childlike kind of ignorance. You're not even aware that there's a problem to begin with. This is the unreflective thinker. Then you have the challenged thinker. And the challenged thinker has just been made aware that they might have a problem in their thinking because they're having an emotional response, a visceral sort of negative reaction. They feel threatened, or they feel exposed, or it's some sort of, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to them, and that feels like a challenge to who they are. Then there's the beginner thinker. So the beginner thinker is somebody who has said, okay, maybe I have a problem with the way I've been thinking about things. I'm going to start, dipping my toe in and seeing what's what. And so the beginner thinker is beginning to practice critical thinking, but they're not doing it on a regular basis. They're not thinking about it on a regular basis. The practiced thinker, this is stage 4. The practiced thinker is aware that they don't know everything, right? That there are other perspectives out there, that they don't know everything, and they're regularly practicing critical thinking, okay? Then you have stage 5, the advanced thinker. And the advanced thinker is all of those things, except that they are actually making progress and improving the way they think and the way they see the world as they practice it, okay? So they're actually making progress. They're developing these skills. That's an advanced thinker. And then you have a master thinker. And a master thinker, critical thinking is more second nature and intuitive. And what's interesting about this is that even a master thinker has to continue practicing. Like, critical thinking is a skill that you have to Like, you can master it. It can become second nature, but you have to continually practice it. And you might be a master thinker in one area and a completely unreflective thinker in another area, right? You may know everything there is to know on, gardening in a high altitude Southwest climate, right? You might be a master gardener, but you know nothing about astronomy. You're completely unreflective about, about some field of science that's seemingly unrelated, and maybe you don't even know that there is some relation there. Okay, so you can be a master thinker in one area and completely unreflective in another. You can be very comfortable talking about ideas that you disagree with in one area and feel challenged and an emotional knee-jerk response in another area. And what's interesting is that most people stop thinking when they feel that emotional response, when they feel challenged, when they feel threatened or exposed. They shut it off. They shut off their thinking. They shut off communication, right? And we do this in a number of ways, right? Cancel culture is one of them. Unfriending people on Facebook. I mean, you can unfriend whomever you want, but if you're cutting off relationships with people because sometimes they make you uncomfortable, you're not actually even getting to a point of thinking through what it is that's so challenging to you. One of the very first lessons that I have with my students is to address and identify our emotions and how they're connected to our thoughts. Because in our disagreements, we have an emotional response. And this was really interesting when I did this with the middle schoolers, especially. We talked about bullying. And, some of my students had been bullied and they had never put together their emotional response with the thoughts that they had about their bully. And so we got a chance to evaluate that. With the adults, I talk about manipulation in the media and from politics and the emotional responses that go along with that. And they were surprised. They were surprised by what they found and how much our emotions are actually connected to our thoughts. But all too often, whether it's in a schooling situation or it's social media arguments or politics, we get emotional about it and then we stop talking. And when that happens, we stop thinking. You can't even become a beginner thinker. That's the thing. Stage 3, the beginner thinker. You can't even become a beginner thinker until you learn how to deal with the emotions. So, where are we at? What does it mean to be educated? Well, that article will come out shortly, very soon. But I wanted to make a video to talk about these 6 different stages of thinkers and where we're at. And you tell me. I mean, I've got an idea about where I think we are as thinkers. But what are your thoughts? What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. And how do we get past it? What do you think about how we get past being simply challenged thinkers to being beginning thinkers, to thinking through things and addressing those? How do we get beyond the emotional response? I'm really interested in your comments. And if you are interested in my Socratic seminar that I've been talking about here, you can visit courses.mereliberty.com. You can also message me and we can have a little chat about it. But other than that, we will talk to you later.